Welcome to the very first Film Threat watch party. I am Chris Gore. We're excited to have you here. I don't know, maybe no one's watching. Maybe some people are watching. Maybe you're watching this later and you've discovered the Bill Murray stories, which is a fantastic documentary. I'm excited to have Tommy Avallone join us. But first, before Tommy comes on, I'm going to be joined by Alan Ng.
Hey, everybody.
Wait, why am I big? Why am I big? Let's go back. There we go. Let's even that up. Alan Ng is the managing editor of Alan's the managing editor of Film Threat, and he's joining us today. How's it going, Alan?
Hey, everybody. Hey, Chris. I'm excited. This is our first.
This is our first, which means you're going to get to see all of our mistakes. They're going to be technical. There'll be technical errors. There's going to be huge gaffes, mistakes, things we regret saying that will follow us forever on the internet. That's what YouTube and social media is for.
In one broadcast, we're going to get canceled.
But Tommy Avallone, God, I guess I've known for a while now, and he has three documentaries that I know about, maybe more that he's hiding. I have not seen his 2014 Santa Claus film, which you actually reviewed on the Film Threat website.
Oh, no, I don't think that was me. I think that might have been Bobby.
Oh, Bobby Lapierre. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we're going to ask Tommy about all of that. We're going to start the film. Now, you should go onto Netflix and you should actually look up the Bill Murray stories, Life Lessons from a Mythical Man, and get it queued up, get it ready. We're all going to press play in about 5 minutes or so. We're going to watch the film with Tommy, who's going to tell us all about it, all the behind the scenes. But before we get to watching the film, let's actually bring Tommy onto the Film Threat watch party. Wait, again, why am I so large in this? I don't like being, I want to be in the background. Tommy Avallone, great to see you, man.
Great to see you.
This film.
I'm so surprised. I didn't know that I was the first. This is crazy.
Yeah. We get to make all of our mistakes with you, and we're gonna look at this after, and we're gonna go, we'll never do it that way again. We're gonna fix it.
Well, I brought my Bill Murray head.
Oh! In the background, that's a Bill Murray head. You got to bring that close up to the screen so we can all see it. It's wow. Oh, that's right. Oh, that figures into the film. Okay, well, we'll discuss this.
Oh, you'll see it right off the bat.
That's right. But before we watch the Bill Murray stories, which you should be queuing up on Netflix now. Get it queued up. I got my iPad right here, ready to press play. There are two other documentaries. You did a movie called Waldo on Weed, which we did a podcast about, which is currently out, and then the Santa Claus documentary. I'm spacing on the title.
It's called I Am Santa Claus.
It's about people who play Santa during the holiday season.
The idea is like following around people who look like Santa all year round. Like, whose lap is your child sitting on? Is really the catchphrase there. We have Mick Foley, who's a professional wrestler, in there. He becomes Santa for the first time. We have a Santa Claus from Texas, from Detroit, New York. Legally changes his name to Santa Claus. It was cool. It was a good one. I actually have this claymation figure from the movie.
Oh wow!
So we did claymation when Santa Claus loses his house. Why not see it in claymation?
That's awesome. But we're gonna watch the Bill Murray stories. The Waldo on Weed came out, I want to say 420, which would be a good tie-in. But it's
close. It was close.
The documentary is fantastic. It's about young parents who have a child who comes down with a rare form of cancer that they then use marijuana to help him through all of his chemotherapy treatments.
Yeah, they were living in Philadelphia and they flew out to California in 2014 to get cannabis oil. It was like a 20-to-1, like 20 CBD to 1 THC. And then we more or less followed him for the 4 to 5 years that Waldo, he's 6 now, but so we see the whole journey of him being good.
It's out. Waldo on Weed. You should see it. You should actually watch the episode of the Film Threat podcast which is on YouTube and SoundCloud, iTunes, all that stuff, where you talk about the film. That was when we had a podcasting studio. Now we're streaming everything.
Yeah, I was probably one of the last ones in there, probably, man. I'm not sure.
One of the last interviews, and then before the world went to hell. Not that it's done going to hell. I kind of feel like 2020, there's a lot more hell that's about to be unleashed. But yeah, no, we shut down the studio. I actually like doing streaming interviews now with filmmakers. There's a lot on our YouTube channel.
He's frozen just for a moment.
Have I frozen? Oh no.
Yeah, you froze. Can
you hear me? Can you hear me?
I see you and see you move.
All right. Well, you know what? Again, we're figuring it out. But I actually like doing streaming interviews. I interviewed a filmmaker from Australia the other day about his documentary, 2040, which is a fantastic environmental documentary. And that'll be out Friday, June 5th. But it's cool because now I can interview more people. I mean, I love the intimacy of just being in person, hanging out. I mean, nothing replaces that. There is sort of a whole thing with Zoom or any sort of streaming thing of you talk, I talk. Okay. I'm going to take myself off the stream. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to take myself off and get it centered on you once we start. But hey, this is we're getting used to all kinds of new things. There's good parts and bad parts. But here, a good thing, the Bill Murray stories. Let's watch it. Has everybody got it? You got it queued up on your?
Yes.
You've got it.
I do.
Okay, cool.
I have my scotch queued up too.
Oh, good. Oh, see, you know what? What did I do? I'm drinking coffee. I'm having an iced coffee right now.
I got scotch in a Club 33 glass.
Oh, wow. You actually went to Club 33 at Disneyland?
You bet.
Yeah.
I'm a cool boy.
So how did you get in? Tell me your story. I want to hear it.
It's just I knew I rang the doorbell and they said you need a reservation, and then I went through my list of people until I found someone who I knew who could get me in, and then it just happened.
So it was as easy as that.
Wrong person.
No, it's great. I love it.
The wrong person on the big screen here.
I don't know how this works. We're figuring it out. We're using a thing called StreamYard. So if anybody has any StreamYard tips, I guess I should look on YouTube for StreamYard. I froze. Whatever.
But when you made me big, I realized one of my son's construction toys were in the background. So.
Oh no. Okay, well, let's get ready to start the movie. We said we talked for about 5 or 10 minutes. What? Look,
I'm the big image now.
Well, you know what? Thing. I like being posted stamp side, or at least as I see it on my computer.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a fun way for us to spend our Fridays. Watching some of our favorite independent films with the filmmakers who made them. So, Tommy, thank you for being our test subject.
Yeah.
Number one.
I should mention I am monitoring the chat. It looks like I'm seeing mostly the Facebook comments. So if you have questions, just please write them in.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Bill Woods. I just want to say hi to Bill. Cheers. Jim Collins. That's great. You can hear us. Sup. Well, what's up is I'm actually doing a watch party. So there you go. Jim, I hope you join us. So this is cool. So yeah, any comments that are that you guys post, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch or whatnot. Hey, Craig Singer is there. Mark Atkinson. Where's my drinks? My drinks are, I'm drinking iced coffee. Why am I doing that? I'm gonna be up all night now, bouncing off the walls. But thank you everybody who's joining us on the chat. We're doing these every Friday now, and we're going to be presenting some of our favorite indie films. So here we go. What's that?
Now on Instagram.
Yes. Okay. So Craig, that's cool that you're there. Now we're about to start the movie. So if you're joining us and you're here to watch the film, it's 10 minutes after we've done our intros. We're about to watch the film. Everybody press play now. Cool. And I downloaded it. I guess on the iPad, Netflix will let you download some films offline viewing. So that's how I'm doing it. Okay, so this is cool.
Yeah, so we're at the opening montage segment.
This is the opening montage. Tommy,
so
what can
how
you
much
tell us
time did you spend developing each of the various versions of of the legend story?
I mean, it really was the hardest part was getting that thing to move in the right speed that we could kind of like edit all those things around it. Like I'm watching it over here. But yeah, I'm not really used to directing actors, so this was fun to get to do that again. Like I had not done that in a long, long time. See, I'm watching this, and I hadn't watched this in a long time. Let me ask you guys this question. Did you like the opening? Because I hear a lot of people, some like half and half. Some people were like, I didn't really know what to expect. The movie didn't really get going until after the scripted stuff. Did you like the scripted opening?
I like it, but you did. I thought Bill Murray was in it for a second because you use kind of a Bill Murray lookalike in one part that's coming up, if I recall correctly. And it's a mask, but you shoot it in a way that it's like not 100%. But I've heard these stories. Like what made you want to like make this film? Obviously, we're all Bill Murray fans, right? We love Bill Murray but there's some people maybe you love their work on camera, but you don't really know them. And I kind of feel like Bill Murray is just fun to hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to do, since there was like the hands over your eyes and the urinal story, I don't necessarily know if that's a true story or if it's just one of those things that's like a combination of multiple different stories. So we wanted to get representation of that in the movie. So that's one of the ones we wanted to film. And the dishes, there's only one picture. So we thought, that'd be great to actually see a scenario in which that happened. And what was the other one? Construction worker. That was just an easy one to shoot. It was like, what are some of these stories where we could play around with the visuals of it and have like interesting, to have it look visually interesting in the opening. I had her, Rachel, the actress right there. I had her dye her hair blue and thought it looked cooler.
Well, it's interesting because you're basically dramatizing some of these legends. I mean, it's no different than what they do on like one of those true crime shows where they do like insets and recreations of events. Right. This is kind of your recreation of an event.
Because like we thought like there is a world in which people don't know what a Bill Murray story is, or how people are telling or hearing Bill Murray stories. So what are scenarios in which you hear them at a bar, at a diner, hanging outside, like these sort of communal storytelling aspects, campfire, so that's why we thought telling these things in these sort of scenarios would be a good way to set you up with what a Bill Murray story is.
Yeah, it's but I'm just curious what we all love Bill Murray, but like what made you think, okay, now I'm going to spend, because look, making a documentary, that's a year of your life. Minimum, it's a year of your life. Right. So what made you want to say, okay, I'm going to spend now a year of my life tracking down these people, traveling all over the country? Because later in the doc, we actually we've got your title sequence now, which is cool. I like this. Okay, so I want to ask about that. I want to ask about traveling around the country talking to these people, but the title sequence, how did that all come together? And did you have to get the rights from those people for all those pictures and video clips and whatnot?
I'm just posting this right now. I only had to pay for one of those clips. The rest was able to be fair use. Documentaries are really, really great with fair use.
And there you are. Right at the end. I saw it's the photo. It's the photo which actually ties in at the end, because then you see the story of how you got that photo. So you kind of set up that it's like you're definitely going to meet Bill Murray eventually.
Yeah, because like there's documentaries out there like My Date with Drew, or all these sort of scenarios where the whole movie is the crux is, am I going to meet this person? Is this person going to meet this thing? And I didn't want that to be our movie. Like I didn't think we were I need to meet Bill Murray kind of movie. So we wanted to rip off that Band-Aid right off the bat and just like, hey, this is what happens. So let's just enjoy the show,
Well, so in fair use, you have to explain that for any filmmakers that are watching this, how fair use works. And especially because I'm working on a couple of documentaries right now myself. So I'm just curious just explain fair use, which gives you a lot of latitude in terms of stuff that you can get away with using. It's got to be put in a certain context of commentary. And this is a thing that also applies to people that produce content on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I don't know about YouTube, because I was just telling someone the other day, I was like, I still don't understand half the programming on YouTube. Like, my son watches people unwrapping presents or toys, or I don't understand unwrapping gifts or unwrapping. You know, there's those things on YouTube, right? People unwrap things. I don't get it.
Yeah, there's the what do they call
you guys mute yourself? Like, I feel like when I'm talking, you guys are muted. It freaks me out.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. When I ask you a question, I kind of want to go away and just watch you. So and I'll just pop on when you're done. I'll try to make this as organic as possible. So
well, good. I just want to off screen.
Yeah, so
it just creeps me out because like I'm the only one there, and I'm like freaked out.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Fair use is great because it helps you tell your story in a more like a better way. I don't know why. Right here, I put Bill Murray's number. Like it's on my phone. We had to blur it out because I was like, well, why would I show the number? Like I wasn't thinking like that's how. I had to film these things all by myself because I didn't want anyone to really know what I was saying because it was so embarrassing.
Well, tell me. So first of all, how did you get Bill Murray's number, and what does he use? Is this number? It just goes to like an answering service. So
yeah.
how'd you get Bill Murray's phone number?
It was a mutual friend. It was someone that worked with him but wasn't really an actor or a writer or director. I can never give out his identity, but he gave it to me, and I was super happy about it. But it's one of those like SkyTel things where it's like you call it, and it's like leave 1 for page 2 to leave a text, 3 to leave a message, and at the end it's like, are you good with that message? You want to redo it? So it's like that scene in Swingers where he's calling the girlfriend. And it's very intimidating. I called it 13 times.
What did you say? And on the message,
I wasn't
times?
I called it throughout a year. It's just so funny. I'm watching on Netflix. I've never seen the closed captioning on before, and it's weird to see closed captioning of things I've said. That's just kind of freaks me out. What did I say? I wasn't asking him to permission to make the movie, but I was giving him scenarios in which I thought would be a fun way to involve him. We wanted to treat this movie like it was Bigfoot, right? Like these stories it's a Bigfoot documentary. Bill's real, so he's not Bigfoot. But if we treated this like a Bigfoot documentary, and at the end you sit down like 2020 style with Bigfoot and go, so what's with the woods? Like it's not interesting. It ruins the magic. So we never really wanted to sit down with Bill and tell him or ask him like, so, what's with cleaning dishes in Scotland? Like we wanted to keep that sort of magic around, but build our own sort of like theories and ideas. So we would call him and ask scenarios like, hey, I have this Bill Murray mask. It'd be really funny at the end if like maybe you took the mask off and you were Bill the whole time, or just walk by a scene. Those were some of the scenarios that we thought would be interesting to have him in because we never wanted to interview him.
Well, technically speaking, do you need a person's permission to make a documentary about them? Like obviously, yeah. I
mean, I don't know I guess like what's the rules? It's like if you hire a PR person or something like that. I don't know necessarily the rules, but I know Michael Moore made several movies about Donald Trump or George Bush and never got their permission. So I felt like I was okay.
Now he's fine.
These silences are killing me.
Well, we're kind of watching the movie. I mean, like I have the closed captions on, which I do recommend using the closed captions on Netflix. There's stuff that you learn, especially when I was watching Game of Thrones. I mean, back then. It was interesting. You'd find out the most inconsequential character's actual name. And sometimes I never knew, like you'd see a character, it's like, what is that character's name? And by turning on the closed captioning on Game of Thrones, you actually begin to learn, certain characters' names. It made it easier to follow the show. But Game of Thrones, that's a whole other conversation.
I've never seen it.
One question I had, and it's back to fair use, but is there some sort of arbiter of, did I violate fair use, or is it just kind of a faith thing that, we kept it within the limits, we think, and no one's going to come after us?
We have attorneys. You fill out your cue sheet and kind of like say what you've licensed and what you didn't license. And give the time codes for all the scenarios in which you use something that you don't own. And then the attorney goes through and agrees or disagrees. And then you try to, fix the scenarios in which you can use it maybe a little bit better, For example, like when we would talk about like Gavin Edwards down the line, he's an author of Bill Murray book. And he talks about all these times where Bill would do these sort of things in the movies that Bill was in. So it's very easy to show Coffee and Cigarettes or Zombieland after he's directly referring to these scenes that build the argument of what you're trying to ultimately say.
A comment, Jim Toscano says, which Jim must be a filmmaker to ask, he's offering a comment. He says, Tommy, wearing the earbuds can create that weird cavernous effect. So
okay.
So
I don't know what that last word he said means. What?
Cavernous.
Should I take them out?
I don't know.
I think
try them out.
It's an observation, I think.
Okay.
And then,
I think he's talking about like with the silence.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I think it's just you guys muting.
It sounds like we're muted.
Like,
that's okay.
Because I'm saying something, right? And usually you wait to hear like if someone laughs or goes, and like when there's silence, like I feel like I'm alone.
And then Sky Hall Ainsworth is asking a question that's not on topic here, Sky. What about getting tickets to the AO Test doc premiere? There has to be a documentary first before there can be a premiere. And I think that we addressed it on the Kickstarter page that we're in a holding pattern because if you've read the news, crazy things are afoot in our world. So we're in a holding pattern on the doc, but you can get more information by going to attackofthedoc.com or go to the Kickstarter page for Attack of the Doc. And
now you can do all your documentary interviews on Zoom. I mean, when the quality is just right there for it. It's so interesting.
We're looking at a bunch of different ways, but I think we got to look. We got to wait to see what's going to happen with it. I do think I'm actually pitched doing a panel to San Diego Comic-Con, which San Diego Comic-Con is doing a whole virtual series of panels during Comic-Con, which is, I believe, the third week in July 22nd through the 3rd week in July, San Diego Comic-Con, which I really am sad that it's not happening, but they're doing virtual panels, and I pitched them doing a panel of, how to make films during, during a pandemic. Like, what are new production methods? And I think a lot of people are figuring that out now. They're figuring out just how to open restaurants and whatnot. So, I think things will get back to normal in a few weeks, but I think we really have to see if the Memorial Day weekend results in an increase in cases or a decrease. But, this is
are you seeing reality. Where I'm seeing? Are we in the same spot?
Exactly the same spot.
I'm right there.
I'm
right
exactly
there.
The same spot.
Yeah.
I'm
there
2
we
seconds
go.
behind you.
Yeah, maybe a second. Yeah, that's awesome. But Alan, what other questions do you have?
Well, I mean, let's get back to Zoom here. I mean, to me, it's just the audio quality. I don't think you want to see a movie that doesn't have a documentary, especially that has perfect audio or as clean an audio sound that you can get.
No, I think just and Tommy, I want to hear your comment on this, but I think that just having seen doc films evolve, over the years, I think that audiences will accept poor video quality, right? That's okay, but you cannot have poor audio. That is like key. You have to have good audio. What are your thoughts on that?
But like just listenable audio. But like, the thing about it, I produced this movie called Ghost Heads. It's about Bill Murray fans, and that budget was super small and tight. And what did we do? We had to Skype in a interview for these people who live in Georgia, and they set up their own camera and their own lights and their own mic, right? So they were more or less set everything up themselves, but then they put the computer right next to the camera, and then I interviewed them that way. And I felt like it's okay, but the thing is, like, when you're talking to a Skype, you're speaking a louder volume. You're like speaking like past the computer, so like you're not performing good. It's like it's the way someone's being interviewed. It just sounds different. Like they just talk really louder because that's the way you kind of talk on a Skype. At least that's how I am. But I'm in my 30s.
Well, yeah, I've heard of people doing that. Like, I had a friend make a documentary, and she interviewed some people overseas in London, and she had a local crew there set it up, and she just watched by Skype. But they filmed it professionally. It just saved her a lot of money to not be there physically. It saved a lot of money.
Also,
so, yeah.
The thing too is like you're also like dealing with small crews. Like, I mean, I've shot interviews by myself. I shot videos with me and my producing partner, cameraman Derek. The most I've ever had outside of the talent that's being interviewed is 3 people. It's one of the situations where I think you're going to see a lot of archival documentaries. Like that Amy Winehouse documentary was amazing, where you're just hearing the audio. My friend Joel, he just did a movie about Showgirls, which is exactly that sort of thing, where it's just the audio. I feel like, if we're still not allowed to kind of like connect with people, you'll see a lot of those sort of stories where it's just kind of the audio over the video, under the video.
You're talking about the movie You Don't Know Me, aren't you?
Yes. I love that movie.
Yeah, so I love that film too. In fact, I just interviewed the filmmaker, and that podcast interview goes up on Monday.
Nice.
So Monday, June 1st, look for that. That's a great doc, You Don't Know Me. And when I talked to him, I said, like, he explained how he did it. He's an editor, and he did not, he didn't shoot any original footage for this documentary. All he did was
his name's Jeff McHale. Sorry.
Jeff McHale. So that podcast will go up on our YouTube and all that stuff. But he didn't shoot any footage for it. And here's the tragic thing about it. I need to ask you about this South by Southwest story that's happening right now as we're watching, because that's one of my favorite stories. But what's fascinating, the Showgirls, you cannot find that movie. I looked. It's only playing on Showtime, I believe. I found a used Blu-ray of Showgirls on Amazon for $50.
Oh wow! I have it in VHS at my parents' house.
Well, the VHS, hold on to it. I want to say hi to Patrick J. Hall. Wait, what? I was not aware such a documentary existed. That's right. It's called You Don't Know Me. It comes out next week. Ed about
the cleverest name in the world.
It's so great. I want to say hi to Ed from Watertown, New York, and also Doug Blush. There, Chris. Hey, I shot behind the scenes on the set of Showgirls. Hey, Doug, you got to see this documentary then. Doug Blush, a guy who just commented on our Facebook feed. Doug, check it out. Go. You Don't Know Me, NOMI, but of course it's sort of a double entendre, so to speak. Nice, but in any case. All right, I got to ask you about this. It's happening now. If you're queued up with our feed, watching the Bill Murray stories on Netflix, this thing that happened at South by Southwest, I'm exactly at the same spot you are. The thing that happened at South by Southwest is, and I have my own Bill Murray story. It's not as exciting as any of the ones in the film. He just happened to be at a place that I was at, but he was at South by Southwest, and he was at a bar, and he met a dude. And then he just tell me the story tell me more about the story as we're watching it. Cause this is probably one of my favorite stories from your doc.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the crowd pleasing moment. There's 2 South by Southwest stories. When he first went in, he was at the bar Shangri-La, and he met like a couple different people and really connected with one of the guys that was working there. So much so he remembered his name and like they hung out with him, and he's like invited him to go see the Jizza afterwards. And he couldn't because he had to go like, take his dogs out because, these Austin guys, it's a very demanding schedule during South by Southwest. And it was this huge party where he just got behind the bar and started pouring drinks for everyone, which kind of became legend, so much so that his son Homer will get Bill behind the bar of his bar in Brooklyn, 21 Greenpoint. So it's become like a thing, and I think sometimes he does it at the Murray Brothers shack in Florida as well. Like he just now, because of this, does this thing where he jumps behind the bar. But talking to Joel Murray, his brother, that used to be what John Candy used to do all the time. He felt like you're safer behind the bar because they can't get you. So it seems like it's a crazy thing, but it's really the most safe, and no one's touching him or like trying to get a picture with him. It's just like it's much easier to exist when you're there, and the booze is free. And then a couple days later, he runs into Jordan and comes to this house party, which is amazing. I went through a YouTube wormhole and found this performance of Bill Murray at the house with the band The Like. And I reached out to the guy who had the footage. I was like, this is fantastic. I'd love to interview you about it. And he's like, I don't want to be on camera, but he introduced me to Jordan, and Jordan introduced me to Farron and everyone else about the story. But he's like, I have this footage that I never did anything with, and I'm just like looking for like the best thing to do with it. And in that, I came across Bill Murray eating lasagna at this dude's party, like unloading all the speakers and stuff. Like all this footage outside of this performance stuff right here was given to me and has never been before seen. So, and the people in Austin were the best characters. Like Jordan right here, he's an amazing storyteller. Farron is an amazing storyteller. These people just really know how to lay this out. And then when you have all this footage to go back to, it's definitely the most entertaining scene in the movie.
Well, I think it's also the one where you have the most footage to draw from, which is probably why this is one of the great. But Austin is like, Austin is like a character. The city Austin is like a character unto itself. And when anybody asks me what my favorite independent film is, my default answer is always Slacker by Richard Linklater. It's such a great independent film. All these like it kind of embodies
Blu-ray over here.
I've got like the 10th anniversary edition DVD or something. Like it's like a little box set of it. But that movie is so great. I think I had a laser disc of it years ago. But Slacker is just one of my favorite indie films. So Austin, as just as a city, the vibrancy of it, the sort of keep Austin weird. Yes, I think that's that. I might have the same one. It's the same packaging.
Booklet.
Yeah, it's got the little booklet. Yes.
Physical media.
Physical media. Yeah. Oh God. In fact, physical media, it's a double-edged sword. I just moved recently, and I cannot tell you, it took me almost a month to move. It was crazy. Doug Blush is saying Slacker. Mark Atkinson says great Austin
bar.
One of my favorite Austin bars is the Jackalope on 6th Street. If you've ever heard of the Jackalope.
I like that Rainy Street spot. That's fun. And
Doug Blush is also pointing out, I have the book he's talking about. Doug Blush mentions there's a great book with the script and all the Slacker bios. And it's a paperback book. It's like this sort of big thing. I think St. Martin's Press put out. I'm sure it's rare now, but it's almost like a collector companion to the movie. And I was fortunate enough that Richard Linklater, when he just finished the film, he sent me a copy of Slacker on VHS about a year before it came out. It actually came out, it got like a theatrical release and everything, but I had a copy of it and it's 20 minutes longer. It's like 20, 30 minutes longer. Oh, wow. And he recut the movie to make it much tight. Now it's like 90 minutes, but the final cut is 90 minutes, but yeah, that book is fantastic if you can find it. So I'm sorry, we're derailing. This is every conversation.
Let me tell you, when we were at South by Southwest with Bill Murray, because that's where it premiered. Well, the Bill Murray stories, not Bill Murray the person. When we were there premiering it, we got to go to Troublemaker Studios, and Rodriguez is there and all that stuff. But Richard Linklater was there, and I'm a huge, huge fan of his. And I ran up to him to try to talk to him, and I couldn't. Then there was some after party that night, and I finally got to like be with him, but he was leaving, and the only thing I could tell him was Suburbia was a great movie, and he's like, "Oh wow, okay." Yeah, because it's such a rare. Like I don't even think that's on DVD, you know. But it's like it's one of my favorite of his movies.
Oh my god, that's awesome! It's
Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, what's that?
Do you remember Suburbia?
Barely, yes, barely.
Giovanni Ribisi shows his bird in it.
Now we're watching the part where Bill Murray actually goes to San Diego Comic-Con, which, as we spoke about earlier, we're all sad isn't happening. Yeah. So we're all queued up. But man, I don't know. I really hope that San Diego Comic-Con does a thing where they're actually doing panels, but they'll do panels, virtual panels. They'll do like they'll do a Dune panel, right? With Denis Villeneuve and Timothée Chalamet, but they'll do it over Zoom or something. Who knows? But how did you get that footage for San Diego Comic-Con? Was that something someone shot that was there? Did you have to license that? How did you get that?
This Flicks and the City, it's on YouTube there, and we fair used it. Joshua, Josh rather, he was. We interviewed him. We're rep by the same guy, same company, so I was able to connect with him, and he told me the story, and the way he said it really kind of sets up the way we use it. We had it longer. There's this Mitch Glazer. I don't think, you know what? I don't think it's in here. I forget the edits. But there was a version I think was longer that had this Mitch Glazer story in it. And I think we cut that out. We'll have to watch and find out.
You think you cut it out? It's weird.
I don't remember. It's been such a long time.
I know.
When did this movie originally come out? I mean, for you, like you were done with it, and then like a year later it comes out. You know, like that's sort of how that kind of stuff works. But you know, it's like when it comes to book publishing, usually it's like you finish the book and then 18 months later it's out. Books,
oh look, no, it's in here. Mitch Glazer, who wrote Scrooged. And this movie that they're promoting right now, he tells his own Bill Murray story. That was not in the original cut. I don't know why I went and put it in here for this. But it's in there.
I do want to ask you about, we're watching this on Netflix. We're looking at the closed caption. I'm looking at it with the closed captioning on because I
think we needed it to be longer. I think we needed it to be longer.
Oh, really? Was that it?
Okay. Yeah, because it's a short movie.
Right. It's 71 minutes? Am I correct?
Yeah, 71 minutes.
But who puts the closed captioning? Like, do you have to transcribe it? And then it's like when it says things like indistinct chatter. Is that something that you do?
I didn't do that at all. No, I mean, Gravitas put this out.
Okay, so they did all
done it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another question. Maybe this is only a couple
this
more.
This is great right here, real quick. So this scenario, like I just found this clip. It's not even a big clip, but it's just like Bill Murray walking by in a bar in Texas, and the lady's like, "Did you get that?" You know, and it's just it's not crazy, but you can build these scenarios or these scenes. Here it is, right here.
It's just so funny because Bill Murray, I loved him on SNL growing up, but then the thing that really, and this is a performance, and I don't know, maybe it's just kind of the age that I saw it. One of my favorite films that he did, Stripes, which is amazing. Stripes. Mm-hmm. There's that speech he gives about Sergeant Hulka and all this, and it's all inspired. You know, we're Americans. We're mutts, you know? We're what did he say? We're 10-1 or something. I don't know. But that just seems like something. I mean, and knowing the story of what Stripes was supposed to be, and it completely became a different movie when Bill Murray was in it with Harold Ramis. I don't know if you know the story behind that. I'll tell real quick, only because
I don't. Real quick, I just want to say the CNN interview here is by far the worst looking shot. We were able to shoot in CNN in New York, and they're like, "Here, we got this room," and it's just like it was just a dive of a room. So we just put this like curtain around. It was like the worst thing in the world. But the guys, Dave Allen is fantastic being interviewed, but it's just the worst looking thing. You're like, well, this is gonna suck, but let's put some video on top of it.
A couple more quick comments. Doug Blush says Craft Pride on Rainy Street with the 313
nice.
pizza in the backyard. And Mark
I love that.
says he misses SDCC already, and is there still a chance for Jaws 45? I don't know. But yes, and here a quote from Stripes. Chicks dig me because I rarely wear underwear, but when I do, it's usually something unusual. Okay.
Can I say something really stupid real quick?
Please.
So the shirt that I was wearing earlier, it was like a lobster. It was like a blue button up with like lobsters on it. I really loved that shirt. It was so cool. I loved the idea. I wanted to try to dress like Kramer for a while in my life, or like lobsters on my shirt. Watched an episode of Girl Meets World, and like this like character that's supposed to be 15 years old is wearing the same shirt. I was like, maybe I should be wearing this.
But the Stripe story.
I was gonna say that was your mom who called. Was she game for that? Or?
Yeah, my mom gets mad. She's like, I'm upset he never called back. I was like, it's fine. But my dad's like, where am I supposed to be in the movie? But like when we did one of these animations towards the end, when Dave Allen from CNN's talking, I did a drawing that was supposed to look like my father. So I was like, that's what's supposed to be you. So,
well, the
Stripe story.
The Stripe story. Okay, so real quick on Stripe story. Stripes was not written for Bill Murray and Harold Ramis. It was not a script that was written for them.
Was it Cheech and Chong?
It was Cheech and Chong. So basically the premise is, and Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. I am not someone who's into pot. I don't smoke pot. I support it. I think it should be legal nationally, and I still think it needs to be studied for medicinal purposes. I'm just not a weed person, but I love Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. It's a classic comedy.
That's amazing.
That feel, just the opening scene with the van and the final scene on stage, like it's just such a great. It's a great comedy. I mean, it's a great, not just a great stoner comedy. It's a great comedy. Well, Stripes was.
I've never smoked in my life, and I love Cheech and Chong.
And you made a documentary about weed, so that's
a documentary about family.
Family, but also involves weed. So Stripes was basically, the pitch was Cheech and Chong join the army. That was it. And basically, once like it just didn't work out with Cheech and Chong, they didn't want to do it because they had, I guess, a chance to direct Up in Smoke Part 2, which they ended up doing that instead of Stripes. I don't even know if it was called Stripes when Cheech and Chong were going to do it. So there's one character that, and it was all stoner humor. Stripes was. They obviously completely rewrote it when, Bill Murray was cast. But in addition, there's one character that kind of is preserved, and all the stoner jokes went to that character, and it's Judge Reinhold's character. So Judge Reinhold plays a stoner in Stripes, and he's always talking about weed and all this. So his character is the only thing that kind of survives from the Cheech and Chong version of the Stripes script. So, all right, well, let's catch up back with the film. Bill Murray.
This part was really difficult because I couldn't say the word Sylvania.
Really?
Yeah, that was very. So here's the shot I'm talking about right there with Dave Allen. Background.
That was shot at the CNN. Yeah, CNN in New York.
Yeah. It was just some room that they gave us,
So you're in New York City, and you're like thinking, I'm going to get some great. I mean, New York is like
a place that broadcasts things, and you can film stuff everywhere.
It's like production value,
No. This is true.
No, just
I don't know if they actually shoot anything in that CNN building, but it was like, there's a lot of offices, But yeah, man, it's a bummer.
Doug Blush says, "I've never heard bones creak like that."
That's from someone. Hey, one question I have is, we never talk about any other comedian like we do Bill Murray. What is it about him that apart from what he does that we're just drawn to, that that says, hey, this guy is just a little bit cooler than school than everyone else?
I think it was that class of comedians he was with. You know, I mean, if Belushi was still alive, we'd be saying the same thing about him. You know, I mean, Belushi was probably even more intense than Bill, and maybe that's why he's still with us. But like, I mean, like Dan Aykroyd used to call Belushi the everyone's neighbor or everyone's best friend. Like when they were shooting Blues Brothers, he would just have to knock around on people's doors and be like, "Is John Belushi with you?" And then be like, "Oh yeah, he's sleeping on the couch." You know, like he was very much of this thing. And there's this book. We didn't really get into it too much in the movie, I don't think. But there's this guy's G.I. Gurdjieff. He's like just like a philosopher. And Bill and Belushi and a couple of those guys, I think Harold Ramis might have read the book too, but they were really into Gurdjieff. And Gurdjieff used to do these things to wake people up. You know, like he would like smack you in the back of the head and do these sort of like stunts, these trickster gods to like kind of like wake you out of these sort of the Walking Dead, if you will. And Bill kind of does that, you know. And I think that early class of Saturday Night Live people or National Lampoon people are very much of that sort of mindset of this Gurdjieff, and you know, taking, you know, they really, a lot of stuff was dealt close too, you know, taking that sort of improv, that yes and approach and adding it to life.
Well, here we are. We're watching. There's a scene from Meatballs you have in your doc, and Meatballs also has one of those speeches, those sort of inspirational Bill Murray kind of improving a speech. I love it. I mean, that's just it's.
Well, here's a good example. Oh, you go.
No, you go.
No, so I my executive producer Glenn Zipper, who has like done like amazing work on many different documentaries, when he kind of came on the project, he told me about the speech. You know, like I'm the Bill Murray of like Ghostbusters and you know all that sort of. There's like Bill Murray here in the beginning, and there's this middle one that I was really into, and then there's the Wes Anderson sort of more serious stuff towards the end. And I was very much of a Ghostbusters Bill Murray, so I never really got into Meatballs that much. But he showed me the speech, and he said he would send this to directors that he would work with whenever like they'd get like held up on like an idea or like a small little thing. He would just send them. It just doesn't matter sort of thing. And I always thought that was a really interesting speech he gave, and I thought like, well, that'd be really interesting if we could use that to make a point, and we were able to. So, but that's because of Glenn. Glenn, you know, our executive producer, brought that clip to my attention, and yeah. And this, see here, right? This the one on the right. Uh-huh. That's a drawing of our Santa Russell from I Am Santa Claus, and the guy on the left was supposed to be my father, but looks more like my father-in-law.
Well, Casey,
so who's the artist?
Oh, it's Peter, and I can never say his last name. Wansky. It's on the credits, but like he's phenomenal. It's like I think his Instagram account is like PW with an exclamation point. Take a look. We've tagged him in many different things, but he's an amazing artist. He did the Bill Murray cover.
And did he do the animation as well?
He didn't do the physical animation. He just gave us the layers. And my producer Max Belushi, he's the one that would do the moving and stuff like that.
Well, I just want to say, Casey Shafsky, great to see you too. I'm glad you're watching with us. And it just doesn't matter, of course. That's a great quote that Casey is highlighting. That thing that Bill Murray says, it just doesn't matter. It just does. He just has and this speaks to actually the theme of your film, because the film, you know, on its surface, yes, it's about all these encounters with Bill Murray, these kind of strange encounters with Bill Murray, like with him, like just whatever, showing up at bars, doing this crazy. But there's like a life philosophy. I mean, that goes to the sort of, you know, the life lessons aspect, you know, of Bill doing these kinds of strange things. So I want to ask you about that, and then just real quick tell you that I don't really have a Bill Murray story, except that I saw him. My girlfriend and I were fortunate enough to get invited to not the Golden Globes. We weren't invited to the Golden Globes. We were invited to the Golden Globes after party. And after party.
Oh, you told me about this before. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. So we were invited to a Golden Globes after party, which was, I mean, first of all, I have no idea how I got invited. But I sort of thinking back, I'm like, I used to, do stuff for G4 TV. G4 TV is owned by NBC Universal. So I think I was still on like their list for some reason. I don't know why, but so I got invited to the NBC Universal after party for the Golden Globes, which was cool. So it was all the people from NBC. They all come there. All the winners came over with their Golden Globes. And lo and behold, standing there, who goes right behind the bar. There's like a big TV monitor, and he went behind the bar was Bill Murray. And he's just standing there. And he's not doing anything. He's just sort of, I walked up and I don't know, I got starstruck. I just said hello. I just said, hey man. And that was it. That was it. That I got nothing.
You know what's funny? I went in while you were talking, since I heard the story before, I went in on Facebook to find us talking, and they're closed captioning the stuff we're saying.
You're
so
kidding
crazy.
me. I don't know. That's technology, I guess.
Yeah, YouTube does that. YouTube actually has a automatic closed captioning for all the videos.
It says 2 people are watching. Is that true?
No, actually, collectively, I think it's like 36. But look, we're just figuring this out. The cool thing is this is archived, so if people want to do their, they want to watch this while they watch the movie, it'll be archived.
Can I say something real quick? These were some of the harder people to navigate. Like they didn't get it. Like these construction dudes, like they're like real dudes, and like they were like wait, what? Like they didn't really. It was just funny. Like,
they didn't get the concept.
They just it was just like a normal day. Like it was just like, oh yeah, that was that thing. Like they didn't like. I mean, this dude, he was good, and the other guy was good too. But it was just so funny. Like they just weren't sure who I was and why they had to dress like a construction worker again to like tell a story. They were phenomenal because they were so earnest in the way they explained it. Like they were just like. They weren't trying to be this dude's in particular. Like he was just like, nah, he just told me like straight facts. And it was great, and like we got to play around with the edit because like they would just finish what they're saying, go back into listening. And you could kind of play around with these scenarios, and the footage was so phenomenal. And the Poet Society was really, really nice to us.
Well, my girlfriend points out, she says that he said hi to me too. He was so intimidating. I could not carry on the convo. But I remember she walked up to him and said hi, and he was just like, hello. And he was all in a tuxedo because it was the Globes. I don't remember if he spoke that year.
Bill Murray is very intimidating, because it's nothing he's necessarily doing. It's just all the stuff that you built in your head about him. I've been around him 3 different times, and each time you're like, this is intense.
Well, he, I don't know. He definitely has like an aura about him that,
but it's like,
you can tell, like
you create, like it's like, you're like, this is Ghostbusters. This is, all these sort of movies but he's real. He's right there. It's just, I seen him texting and I was like, I don't know. It was just weird. It was a weird scenario.
Do you ever think him? Do you ever
he
think
has a cell phone because he texts his kids? It's the only way his kids will talk to him. He said.
Do you ever think he reminisces and talks to people about stuff he's done, or is he more?
No.
Yeah, I don't get that sense either.
Nope.
It's in the moment. I mean, had you seen the Del Close documentary for Mad Men Only?
I seen Thank You, Del Close. Is that the same thing?
No, this one came out. It's supposed to have come out at South by Southwest this year.
Oh, okay.
He's actually in it, and they do talk a lot
Bill's
about.
In it?
Yeah, Bill's in it. Well, I should say because he was there at the last party. He actually put together Del's last birthday party.
With, yeah. He bought one of the violinists.
Yeah, and you brought it up, but he definitely takes that yes and attitude in life. Of if an opportunity or situation is presented, you just go headfirst into it, and I think. It must be. Do you think it's because he finds that fun and fascinating, or just energizes him, or
I just think it's like he's had 2 really big teachers in his life, and Del Close was one of them. And I like to think that G.I. Gurdjieff was the other. I mean, when he made Razor's Edge, like I forget what his given credit was on it, but he loved that book, made sure it happened, and the only reason he did Ghostbusters was so, I believe it was Columbia, were to do Razor's Edge as well. They shot Razor's Edge first. He landed from wherever he was filming Razor's Edge on and went right into Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters came out first. It was huge. Razor's Edge bombed because people weren't ready for Bill Murray to be in that particular kind of role. Like audiences weren't like understanding that people could be like different like that. Like, oh, they could do comedies and serious stuff. And he was the first time he quit show business. I believe it was just Homer and his wife at the time went to France, and he studied philosophy and film and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I think there's a big example of Gurdjieff and Del Close and how these people would do these things to really like focus on living this one life what we have, you know? He said on, I forget what interview, but he's like, life isn't a dress rehearsal, you know? Like he understands that this is the allotted time that we have. We don't know how long it's going to be, so let's make the best of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Makes you wonder why we, you know, what is it about us that prevents us from, you know, throwing ourselves into situations and just trying, you know,
sure, it's fear.
Yeah.
Fear of failure.
But I think when you're Bill Murray, I mean, you can you can get away with, you know, sitting behind the bar. You can just like go behind a bar. If I went behind a bar at my local bar, they would say, what the hell are you doing here? Get out. But, you know, if you're Bill Murray, they're just going to let you like, oh my God, it's Bill Murray. It's like, you know,
right. But he did that stuff before he was famous. Like him and him and his brother Brian Doyle, there was like a Tommy premiere or something about the Tommy in New York subways in the 70s, and they just snuck their way on. You know, like Bill Murray, when he got arrested when he was like 20 years old because he was at the airport and he was like, I have a bomb with me, like just goofing around, you know, but like he didn't get arrested for that, but he actually had weed on him. So that's how he got arrested. But like, he's always kind of been that sort of trickster. And I think it's just, it got bigger when he was able to play with a bigger audience because he was famous. But it was Gilda Radner, and I'm almost 100% on this, but like she kind of came from money, and she was able to kind of like explore certain way, just like she was able to put herself out there because she didn't necessarily need anything. She was already okay. And that lessened the idea of fear. And one of the interviews later in the movie, we show Bill Murray on the stage at TIFF, possibly, and he talks about someone once gave him this advice, and that's Gilda Radner.
We're trying a different format here.
Oh, hey,
look at this. We're just trying a different. I like it just being. I don't want to be the big head. I want us to be all even.
I hate being the big head.
Yeah. No, I like that giant mixer, and then the reel-to-reel in front of it.
Yeah, and it's just an audio recorder. Like it was no way at all that was like a reel-to-reel, but we're just like, oh, this will look visually cool.
Because those two pieces of equipment would never have existed together.
yeah, but it was a cool image.
So
this lady, she's from Detroit or from Michigan, I think, and she moved to Scotland, and we interviewed her. So I thought that was funny.
Well, it's interesting in a way, like he kind of photobombs people. He's kind of messing with people, but not in a way that's mean, you know?
Well, I think the big thing is he's not drawing attention to the fact that he's doing. You know, you could have gone in that room and never have known he was there or serving beer or doing whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's I don't know why I'm blanking there. Peter Farrelly said it. He's like, you know, when he does these things, he's not like, oh, look at me, I'm Bill Murray. It's just like he's a part of whatever's happening, and that's what ultimately makes it. Because like if you came in there and was like, oh, look at me, I'm doing this bit. Isn't that funny? Isn't that silly? Like it's very off-putting, you know. And Bill doesn't do any of that, you know. And that's why he's a part of the gang.
So a question, if I wanted to, because you did have an encounter. You said you ran into him like 3 times.
Mhm.
I got to say a shout out to Dual Animal, who said construction workers don't watch movies, they construct. And he also mentions the 35er bar, which I'm very sad. It's my local watering hole, so to speak, in Pasadena. It's a bar that's like walkable to my place. And it's a classic, like not a horrible dive bar. It's a cheesy dive bar. I happen to love it. They call it the Dirty Diver. And I don't know. It's one of my favorites. So he did a little shout out to the 35er. I might be able to go behind the bar at the 35er, but I don't want to say that you stalked Bill Murray, but if you're making a documentary about Bill Murray stories, you definitely sought him out. If one were to want to have an encounter with Bill Murray, is there a place where you might want to hang out? Is there you're more likely to run into Bill Murray if you went to a certain place? Can you just, because you yourself, I just want to know like what your thoughts on that are. Like you sought him out. So if I was going to seek out Bill Murray just to have one of these stories to tell, where might I go?
Well, you should never seek out to have a Bill Murray story, because that's the opposite of what a Bill Murray story is.
Well, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
But I did not stalk him, and I always say it was like a journalist sort of thing, right? So like the first time I was ever around him, I was living in New Jersey, which is like it was a suburb of Philadelphia, right? And I did not have his phone number at the time, but everyone kept texting me because they knew I was like starting this project, and they're like, Bill's in Philly. He's in some dive bar on 13th. His son was getting married the next day, so it was like after the rehearsal dinner. His son is an assistant coach for some team, and like I think the ladies' family's from Philadelphia. I don't quite know, but he was in Philly, and I just did my research and found out what hotel he was staying in, and just kind of hung out in the lobby until I came across him. But he was with his family during the time, so it wasn't good. I've been around enough celebrities that go, you just don't go up to when they're around family. So I just didn't do it. A couple weeks later, I actually got his phone number, and that's, I was very thankful in that. The second time was at the end of the movie when I worked with the baseball team. They told me that he was going to be there for the opening night. They think he was going to be there for the opening night. So that's where I was there.
That was their minor league team? Or?
Yes. The River Sharks? No, River Dogs.
That's for the Cubs.
Well, I think it's like a minor league Yankees team, maybe. It's in South Carolina. I just don't know. I don't watch real sports. I watch professional wrestling, so I don't understand any of this.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
There you go. But in the third time I saw him was the Poets House event. Just because I became friendly with the Poets House, and he goes to their Poets Walk every year. So I mean, if you, I guess, wanted to be around him and see him and know for a fact he's most likely going to be there once the world opens up, he's usually always at this Poets House, this Poets Walk, and I think it's the summer. It's really, really hot, so it had to be the summer. Just go to the Poets House, and it's on their website. He does that every year.
So for the baseball game, you were there specifically to hunt him out then?
I don't like the word hunt. I was there because I wanted to see if I could talk to him in person. And yes, I drove all the way from Philadelphia to South Carolina for that main reason.
Yeah, and then what was it like at the moment you said, "Okay, this is it. This is my shot"?
Well, it was so weird. So like in the movie, you see it where like I'm like running up to him, right? Like we just, you never know when Bill's going to be there. So me and Derek, it was me, my producing partner and cameraman Derek, and then Rad himself from CKY. He was our camera guy. He's like one of my friends, and he was just kind of like along for the ride. He had just come back to Philadelphia, and we were just hanging out. And he and Rad was out shooting some other stuff, and me and Derek were just goofing around. There was this guy with stilts, and Derek was filming me near the guy with stilts, and this lady's like, "Oh, you should have filmed Bill. He just walked right by you." I was like, "What?" You know. So we saw Bill like going up, and I already had my like VIP pass. So like I just kind of ran up to him, and I didn't have a mic on, so it's just like a cell phone. It was literally like just like and grabbed a cell phone and just I ran up to him, and I was like, "Excuse me, Mr. Murray, I'd like to ask you a quick question." You know, and he's like, "Well, that was a quick question." I was like, and then I was like, I've been trying to make this movie, the Bill Murray stories. I'd like to at least just talk to you, like, maybe off camera or something like that. And he was just confused because he was like, he's trying to get to a spot, and like he really has like X amount of seconds before everyone realizes Bill's there, you know? So he's like moving at a speed that's amazing for someone in their late 60s, you know? And he's like, yeah, no, just kind of like, but then I went up to the VIP area and like was kind of like, oh, maybe I could talk to him then, you know? And it's just me, and I'm trying to fit in. I don't know what to do, so I'm just eating hot dogs, I'm just eating crazy amounts of hot dogs just to have something to do. And I could tell that he sees me, and I could tell that he's like, maybe doesn't want me there, like at least maybe I'm projecting. I'm not sure. So I just left. I was like, I'm not trying to make an enemy of the Bill. Like if he feels uncomfortable, I'm not going to be a part of that, because this is not the movie we're trying to make. We're not like hunting down someone to talk to them. It was just one of the scenarios where like I knew he was going to be there. It's not that bad of a drive, I do like road trips, so we figured might as well try it. And then I talked to someone at the River Sharks. They're like, if you want to talk to him, he leaves the game, he usually takes pictures with people. So that's when I went up to him and I was like, hey, sorry. My plan was this. I was going to say, sorry I bothered you earlier. And if he said, yeah, what was that all about? I get to talk to him about the movie. But if not, I'd live to fight another day, and maybe I'll talk to him in the future, And I was like, hey, sorry about that earlier. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, can I get a picture? And then we just grabbed the picture. And then as we were going home to Philadelphia, like New Jersey, I was like, I think I can make a whole movie out of that picture. Like I was like, I feel like I could bookend this whole thing on that, and that's what we did.
I mean, it worked.
Those car rides, like when like independent film, and it's like your camera producing partner, and like the producing partner or a buddy or whatever, like those long rides, and you just go, well, could this work? And you just like literally editing in the car, and like those are my favorite scenarios. You go, oh, well, could it work? Is that interesting? Is that fun? So that's how we more or less spaced out the thing, was just trying to figure out that. And I was like, well, I have this picture now, taken by Chris Rabb, I think I can make something out of that. And then we'd already filmed a lot of the movie too at that point too.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious. I asked you at the very beginning, how did you get his phone number? How did you get Bill Murray's phone number? And obviously you're not going to tell us what the number is, but that's even like, it's not like it's on IMDb or something, No,
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, like it was one of those scenarios. Like I know interesting people, and like
okay.
and like it's not a writer or a director or an actor and that stuff. I just know a wide range of unique people, and when trying to interview this one person, who's not in the movie, but we did try to interview him, and like we physically did interview him, it just didn't work out. He's like, I got the number if you want it, and I was like, yeah, that'd be cool, and he's like, call me Monday and I'll give it to you, and he did, and it was one of those situations where I already seen him in Philly in the lobby, and like, wrote this letter and like kind of tried to send it up to the room and all that sort of stuff, like something you would see from Almost Famous or something like that. But like, I don't know, it was just knowing the right person and coming at it in the right way, that he trusted me with the number. And that's why I can't ever say who gave it to me, because, it's a trust thing.
So you're not going to say who it was, but
no,
that was it.
Can you give us the last 4 digits?
My phone's charging. I mean, it's like it's never gonna work because like people will ask me all the time and ask me for the phone number. I go, "You seen the movie, right? Like, what's the number gonna do for you?"
Right. Well, when you call the number, does he say, "This is Bill Murray, leave a message"?
It's I mean, you kind of hear it in the movie where it's like, if you want to leave a message, it's like it's an automated person that's like,
like your number, your voicemail.
Yeah, if you want to leave a page, press 1. If you want, it's not a real person. It's like a machine.
Well, Anthony Bench says, I bet Bill Murray answers his phone by saying yellow as opposed to the formal hello. I could see him doing that. I could see him saying yellow.
I'll tell you what, though. So remember I told you I went to the hotel to find him and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
So, I used to work in radio in Philadelphia, and we would have to like find numbers all the time and do different scenarios. And so I found out that he was in Philadelphia, and I knew he was going to be staying overnight after the wedding. So one of the hotels I called, I was like, "Excuse me, can you connect me to William Murray, please?" My thought being that this is what journalists or whatever. But I was like, well, if I say Bill Murray, they're going to be alarmed that I'm trying to find this person. But if I say William Murray, and they put me right through, and Bill answered the phone, and he's like, "Hello," like literally like woke him up. I was like, just like hung up. I was like, I know he's there. And then that's why I went into the lobby and stuff like that.
Wow.
So my question is, if you actually got the perfect interview with him, do you think that would have enhanced your film or made it worse?
Well, I never wanted to interview him, and he never would agree to an interview. So it's not even a reason, but the thing is again, what I was trying to do in the movie was just maybe have him walk by a shot or just do something where it was like a split sort of second in it, because I just come off I Am Santa Claus, where I made a movie telling you, hey, look, Santa's not real, but these people who do this are real, and that's what's magical. So it's like, how do you keep that magic alive in the Bill Murray stories? Because no one's gonna be talking about a movie that goes, yeah, they talked to Bill and he's like, it was just a fun thing to do. So it's not a good movie. It's not a good story. It's not anything, So who would want that? And Bill doesn't want that. I wouldn't want that, So even when the Poets House at one point was like, did you want to talk to him? Did you want to interview him? I was like, first of all, he's going to say no if I ask for it, but it's just not going to, I wouldn't want that, because what do you ask the person, and it's not me not having the right question. It's me not also kind of wanting to keep the answer open,
And again, it's not the point of the movie either.
There's other movies that people try to have their own Bill Murray story, and it was a scenario that was not what we wanted to make. Look, Santa, Walter Reed, Bill Murray stories. There's always people who are somehow making around the same movie that we are. There's 3 different Santa movies. There's another Bill Murray. There's tons of weed movies. So it's like, how do you make yours different? And we knew what we wanted to make, and that was not it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark Atkinson from Facebook asks, how did you get Peter Farrelly involved in the film?
That was our producers. Ray Esposito and Kevin Sisti actually knew Bobby Farrelly, and they just set it up that way. Peter was around, and he liked the sizzle that we made. We showed him the tape of what we wanted to kind of do with it, and he likes how Bill does that sort of stuff. He feels like more people should be doing that sort of stuff. The only other person that is close to what Bill does is Tom Hanks, and Peter just really appreciated what we were trying to do with it. So.
And Bobby Lapierre, this is another shout out for Bobby Lapierre, who I think might be watching on YouTube. So we're putting this out on multi-platforms so people can watch. But back to we're actually getting close to the end of the film.
Yeah, we got 7 minutes left.
Oh, this is it. This is really the climax. If you're queued up with us,
we wrap this son of a bitch up.
But this is that baseball game. Hey,
so that hat that he's wearing there?
Yeah,
that he bought that hat to get away from me.
What, really? Are you kidding?
Well, I mean, that was like when I was going up. Like he was like going into the room to get the hat. So like I just let him. There it is. It's right there on the far right. That's Chris Rabb from all the Viva La Bam and Jackass shows. There you go. He
Wow.
took the picture.
Wow. But he must be. Oh, that's the classic picture that opened the movie, and now it bookends at the end of the film.
They put that picture on Good Morning America. I was stoked.
Oh wow! Now let's talk about as we're wrapping up the film. We're at the end. Really, what's amazing about the movie is you hear all these stories about Bill Murray, but it's the theme of like he lives his life differently. He lives his life like it's like I want to say it's cavalier, but it's not. And he almost like embodies like some of the characters he's played in some of the films. Like I think he's a lot like the character from Stripes, even though he's not in the military. You know, like he has this, and here we are, directed and edited by Tommy Avallone. Hey, we're in the credits. But tell me about like that sort of running theme, because you did sort of add the Bill Murray stories, life lessons. You know, like that.
Yeah, I mean. A lot of people will look at these Bill Murray stories, the kickball, karaoke, all that sort of stuff. It's like every couple years, you know. I don't think many people were maybe Gavin Edwards, who wrote the book before we did the movie, but it was like not many people are looking at them all at the same time, you know. And when you do that, you see like these certain words and sort of themes pop up: living in the moment, being available, being present, you know, and the way the way Bill kind of connects with these strangers. And then when you start talking to people, the way they react to the story, it's their story, you know, and like it's their party story, it's their break the ice sort of story. And you could really see what, you know, a couple seconds to him has meant so much to so many other people. And when you see that and you hear all these sort of things happening, you know, it's you build that theme off of it. And he
really Bill Murray just embodies authenticity more than anything.
Yes. Well, I mean, like when we did Ghost Heads, it was a documentary about Ghostbuster fans. We interviewed Dan Aykroyd just off the cuff, like about Bill Murray and something. And Dan was like, he's the one that didn't sell out, you know, like he wasn't doing TV. He wasn't doing TV. I mean, up until that Groundhog Day commercial, he wasn't doing commercials. Like he was just authentically him. And then if he didn't want to do it, he wasn't going to do it. Like he would do like weird roles if he was friends with you and all that sort of stuff. And if he could help you, you know, but like for the most part, it was parts that he found the right, like the real moment in that. And it's just all about the Del Close, like finding the truth in the scene, you know, and he's not going to say something to say something, but if it's, you know, seeking that sort of truth.
Yeah, it's almost like Jim Jarmusch, the latest film he made with Jim Jarmusch, the zombie movie. I forget the name, but
I haven't seen that yet. But I want to see it.
It's so good. It's really good. But last few questions as we're wrapping up here. It's Mark Atkinson asked, there's a now legendary story about Bill Murray and Peter Farrelly at a bar restaurant hopping in my hometown of Matanook and Rhode Island last summer. Would have been a great story to add to this doc. So there's I feel like there's I feel like there's
the thing is he's still alive. There's still things. Yeah. I mean,
you could do a sequel. You could do a sequel.
Yeah, there was something. He was at a bank or something like that, and he got like a cork and like wrote like a smile on some lady's head or something like that. They're ongoing. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, and Bobby Lapierre, the dead don't die. That's right, the dead don't die. I was thinking something of the Living Dead. Every zombie movie to me is of the Living Dead. And Dual Animal, that's Bobby Schwartz, says amazing film, Mr. Avallone. I guess he was watching along. A lot of people watched along. And I hope if you, since we're wrapping up now, I just want to thank you, Tommy Avallone, for joining us and doing this with us, being our test subject.
The first one.
The first one, which will be many watch parties. I want to announce that Ari Gold, we're going to watch Ari
nice.
Gold.
I love Ari.
You know, yeah, he mentioned you. What's funny, he goes, hey, I want to do, he emailed me, said, I want to do a watch party. and then I mentioned you were doing it. It's like, I know Tommy. So
Yeah,
Ari
I was
Gold,
texting him the other day. I love Ari.
Ari's great. Ari Gold is going to do our watch party next week. That'll be
What
Friday,
movie?
June 5th. The Song of Sway Lake, because it's on Amazon Prime. And then I want to do Adventures of Power because I love that film.
Yeah.
I think it's my personal. It's funny. It kind of, and also Ari's. I don't know. I just like that Ari. I think we might do both. So who knows at some point. But so Song of Sway Lake we're going to do next week. It's on Amazon Prime. I also want to thank you, Alan Ng, and everyone else who's watching, whether you're watching it live or whether you're seeing this archived. These are Film Threat watch parties. We're doing them Fridays with some of our favorite independent filmmakers. And Tommy, you are one of those. So thank you so much. And if you sort of caught this, make sure to watch the Bill Murray stories without us commenting while you're watching it. I think
I was about to go to my.
You gotta watch the movie.
Yeah. It's also on DVD and Blu-ray with special features. So
yes, with deleted scenes, I assume.
But you get paid per screen, right?
Yeah. Oh, what? I don't know. There's special features on there. It's all fun stuff.
I love special features. I love special features. So I want to thank you all for watching. Go to filmthreat.com. Watch all of our. Hey, nice. Watch our watch parties on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whatnot. Thank you so much.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All the stuff that everybody says at the end of these things. I feel like there should just be a card that comes up that just does that. But thank you to everybody, and we'll see you next week.
I think that's